Hello everyone, Time to Grind here, and today I wanted to talk about Boreal Blade. And Boreal Blade is a fun little sword fighting game that just recently came out in early access that really exceeded my expectations. And before we get into the review, I do just want to quickly let you all know that I was given a free copy of the game in order to make a video for you all. I never let that influence my reviews, I just like staying transparent with you all. Also, after this video, if you want to see more Boreal Blade gameplay, I made a longer Let's Play video that I'll link to. But either way, let's just jump into the review. So Boreal Blade is a sword fighting game that's similar to games like For Honor or Chivalry or Mordhau if you've played any of those. So you have your character, and by default you only have this long sword unlocked. And how the combat works is that you press the left mouse button to attack, and you'll attack in whichever direction you're holding your sword. And you can also change that direction by holding the right mouse button and moving it to different positions. And this right here is the bread and butter of the combat, and that's because there's not a designated block button. Instead, you block your opponent's attacks by moving your sword in the correct position to match how they're attacking. And there's a couple other important features, like you can kick the opponent to try and disrupt their attack, or you could hold a special block button that heals you a little bit if you actually get a successful block while holding down that button. And there's also feinting attacks that allow you to try throwing off your opponent. You also have a kind of berserk meter above your health that you charge up while fighting, and I believe it makes you more stronger, but also when it's max you can throw your weapon, and depending on what weapon you have, it does different things. So for the longsword, you actually throw them like spears and it insta-kills any opponent you hit, which is just crazy satisfying. And I know that there's probably a ton of features and things I haven't even scratched the surface yet in my time playing the game, but overall the combat seems like it's fairly simple to get the hang of, but there's a ton of depth that could allow you to play hundreds of hours to master the game. There's also hundreds of different weapons and armor and cosmetics that you can get while playing, and you can also apparently sell and buy them on the Steam market as well. And so all of these different weapons act completely different from each other. You could have a spear that you try to stab people with, or you could have a shield and another one-handed weapon, or you could have a normal sword, or axes, or just a ton of different weapons that are in this game. And so I really like the concept of having all of these different weapons and armor, but my only worry is that there'll be some really good weapons that you might want, but you'll have to spend a ton of time trying to get, or just buying it on the market. And normally I don't bring this up until the end of the review, but I do want to mention that this game is only $4 as of coming out in early access. So it's not like this $60 game that you also have to worry about finding and unlocking all of these weapons. I didn't encounter anything in the game that was obviously OP or anything, but it's just kind of something to keep an eye on, I guess. And there's 4 different game modes, but I was only able to try out just kind of like the normal matches of 3v3s or 4v4s, and in some of these matches people would be like the honorable thing in, these type of fighting games and let everyone do their 1v1s, and other times it was just a complete war where, we were going 2v1s at times and just trying to get any advantage you can, and honestly I had fun with both ways, however people were wanting to play in the games that I joined. And the other game mode that I was able to try out is kind of like a domination type game mode where the attackers had to plant a flag and defend it for a certain amount of time. And overall, I kind of just like the straight fighting over the domination, but the domination mode wasn't bad at all. I just think it needs some tweaks, like actually switching whether it's, who's attacking and who's defending each round versus it just being, one team's attacking and one team's defending for the entire match. And I think the reason I wasn't able to find matches was potentially due to the player base. There is normally a 24-hour player count of like 75 people playing, at least at the launch of early access, and the game does not have dedicated servers right now. It only has peer-to-peer, but for the most part I was able to find games by looking in the server browser. You only need a couple of people to make a single match fun, and when the round's over everyone votes on a new map, so once you kind of find some people you are enjoying playing the game with, it's kind of easy to just keep playing over and over and over with each other because it keeps the lobbies obviously like a normal server would. Also, since this game is only $4, if you have some friends, I think it would be a totally amazing game for you all to pick up and play. The gameplay is very solid and smooth, surprisingly for an early access game, and it has a lot of replayability in terms of continuously leveling up and getting new weapons to try out. Also, I just really love the art style. I wouldn't say it's like cartoonified, but it has a very distinctive art style that I overall really like. So overall, I would highly recommend getting this game. Normally I would worry a little bit about the player base, especially when it's kind of starting out this low, but right now there is enough people to be able to find games for, and since it's only $4, if you get the game and only play for several hours and then the game dies, I think it would still be worth it because, you got several hours of this really fun and unique fighting, sword fighting game to play. And who knows, this game just came out in early access, and it's made by the developers that made the Trine series, so I could see this game getting tons of updates and getting a small but loyal player base. But if you guys have played Boreal Blade or just from watching gameplay, I would love to know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Also, if you want to see me playing Boreal Blade more, I made a Let's Play video that I'll link to at the end of the video and in the comments and description. And after that, if you still can't get enough of me, we recently just rebranded our podcast to the Neon Apes and are having a ton of fun, so I would recommend checking out our newest episode of the podcast as well. But if you enjoyed this video, then consider leaving a like down below and subscribing to see more content. I make about 3 to 6 video reviews and Let's Plays a week, along with sprinkling in some live streams. So subscribe and ring that bell like all the big boy YouTubers say to see those in the future. And if you're going to be grinding out some games of Boreal Blade, I wish you luck and see you next time.